Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, KLIXcast and Jill Skeen.
Mind me.
Yes, I will. Welcome to Top Story, 7360300. Always the number to call. And good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly. Why am I always busted?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Maybe because you're always talking. I don't know.
Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was short and simple, to the point.
Very short. We had our sister-in-law up. It was fun and went out with some friends. And Gracie woke me up last night at like 2 a.m. I was up for like an hour and a half. I don't know. She wants to play with her toy. I put her toy away, this automatic little spinny toy, you know, the cat's chase. So I put it on the coffee table because I usually put it on the mantle, but we had put some decorations up there. So anyway, middle of the night, 2 a.m, she'd pulled her little toy down. So I'm like, wait, that was supposed to be on the table. She wanted me to turn it on. So I didn't.
Well, we have a cat now.
Yes. And how's that working out?
Well, not bad. Here a while back, it was meowing in the middle of the night.
Yes.
So she spent the night in the garage.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
And she's done it since then, too, and I threaten her.
Well, that doesn't help. She just now is afraid of you.
Well,
now I have to be in the garage?
She doesn't meow in the middle of the night as much.
Well.
So
what are you doing to her?
I'm not doing. What do you mean? What am I doing to her? Are you implying?
Poor thing. Why is she meowing in the middle of the night?
I feed her. I
Why
clean her.
Why is mine meowing in the middle of the night?
Sheesh.
I know it.
Anyway, hey, coming up,
Kelly, we just live in their world.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is a cat's attitude.
Oh my!
You are in my world, human.
I'm tired today. Sorry, it's Gracie's fault.
Coming up at 8:30, oh my goodness, I forgot their name. But anyway, we have a church pastor coming in. They got a Christmas event coming up.
Full Life Family Church.
Full Life Family Church.
Pastor
right.
Jeremy Vines.
And
he was here last year too.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
8:40, we have Randy Staples with the Idaho political update.
Mm-hmm.
At 9 o'clock, we'll probably be talking about a meeting tonight at the Twin Falls City Council regarding the choice of the Banner Building in downtown Twin Falls.
That's right.
So be listening for that. We want to know, do you want the Banner Building or do you want something else for City Hall? Now, don't call now, but we're going to take a poll.
Well, there were two choices. It came down to two choices. So it wasn't, do you want something else? The two choices were the old clinic or the Banner Building on Main Street.
Yes.
Main Avenue, I guess.
So we'll talk about that at 9 o'clock. Meanwhile, we do have, and Congress has passed $1 trillion spending bill to get us through till next September.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And all the little goodies in that thing.
Well, hey, I know that the Democrats help, so what are you going to do?
Oh, yeah, so there you go.
Well, they did.
You come down to the 11th hour, and then you throw all this stuff in. They don't even take responsibility for what they throw in, and then you're like, okay, you're forced because now your government's running out of money. I mean, the whole thing is crazy. It's just crazy. But I've had a taste of how politics works. So you know what? Nothing surprises me anymore. You think it's a fair process, but guess what? It's not.
A few years ago, we started a project to build a new animal shelter in town.
Mm-hmm.
And I was right in the middle of that. And I thought, this will be...
What could go wrong there?
What could possibly go wrong? I'll tell you what.
What could be political about an animal shelter?
It was so political, it made me sick to my stomach. It was just, you cannot do anything without something political entering the situation.
Some special interest, something.
Exactly. It is amazing. We did get it built.
Hurrah.
And we have a beautiful new animal shelter now. But,
it's never used.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it was so well needed.
I know. Oh,
you have to wonder what's the objection.
Actually, you look back at what. Well, it wasn't actually whether we needed one or not. It was just some people were upset about this and they wanted it their way or they weren't going to help, and it was just it was pathetic. But at any rate, we got it built. We got a beautiful new facility now.
Just amazing.
And I know. And we do have a caller. Top Story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, my beautiful Jill.
Good morning.
Listen, I feel your stress, and welcome to the Good Old Boys Club. That's the way the politics work around here, and you know what? I can sense it in your voice. Just keep up the good fight, girlfriend. Keep it going.
Well, thanks. You just want a fair process.
Did you get a new phone?
Why?
It sounds a lot better. Sounds better.
I did.
Oh,
well,
very
good.
nice.
It was worth the money because sometimes we'd have trouble hearing you.
Yeah. So, keep it up because it sounds a lot better.
I know.
Can actually hear you now.
I know.
So, we do have some news to talk about this morning. And I don't know how many realized it or not, but yesterday was not just 12/13/14, December 13th,
12, 13, 14.
No, I'm sorry.
What was it?
It would have been Saturday. 12,
Okay.
13, 14, because today's the 15th, right?
It's like
payday.
It's like 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. And also, this is the last sequential date we will ever see in our lifetime.
What? That's it?
That's it, because there's no such thing as 13, 14, 15. We don't have a 13th month, see? So with 12, 13, 14, we're done now for our lifetime.
Oh,
The
good.
next
I'm
one,
glad that's over with.
Yeah.
Wow. Whew. I lived through that one.
So at any rate, the next one will be till, I guess, next century, early part of next century, and the world won't be here by then. So, anyway, that's a moot point. But
there you
anyway,
go.
It wasn't just 12, 13, 14 on Saturday to a military branch of men and women who served their country in many ways. It was the 378th birthday
Wow.
of the U.S. National Guard.
That's amazing. 378?
Yes. According to the National Guard's website, December 13th was the birthday because it was on that date in 1636.
Do you remember that?
I just barely. I was kind of young then.
I know.
I was a little young then.
Because we know you're old, but...
Yeah. In 1636, the first militia regiments in North America were organized in Massachusetts.
That's right.
Based upon an order of the Massachusetts Bay Colony's General Court, the colony's militia was organized into 3 permanent regiments to better defend the colony. Today, the descendants of those first regiments, the 181st Infantry, the 182nd Infantry, and the 101st Field Artillery, and the 101st Engineer Battalion of the Massachusetts Army National Guard share the distinction of being the oldest units in military history.
Wow.
U.S. military history.
Yeah.
So there you go. Happy
Isn't that
birthday
nice?
to the Idaho National Guard.
I wonder how many people knew that.
I don't know. Probably not many. I didn't know it until I ran across that this morning. And it was too bad I didn't run across it last Friday. We could have used it Friday. But now it's also ran.
What do you mean used it Friday for what?
Well, we could have used it because coming up. It's usually more interesting if it's coming up rather than...
That would be, but then we
Yeah.
could all say, wow, we all missed it.
Yeah. But
People, I'm sure, were just too busy Christmas shopping anyway.
But, we have a lot of people with the 116th Cavalry Brigade here in Twin Falls who serve in the National Guard, and our hats are off to you, and God bless you and your families for what you do and what you've done and what you will be doing. So
There you go.
They're great people to have around. Okay, have you ever
What?
run across someone who just by a stroke of luck they turn into multi-bazillionaires?
Not often. I don't
Me-
even know if I've run
me
into
either.
anyone. I haven't even met a lottery winner. Unfortunately, it's never been me either. So
I know.
no.
I hear
Who has? Why don't you call in on that one?
You-
Who's run into someone who's become a bazillionaire? Give me a break. Why, do you say?
Well, he's not even 18 yet.
Mm-hmm.
Mohammed Islam, now there's a name for you, from Queens, New York, has already made, and he's not 18 yet, he's already made an estimated $72 million.
Wow.
From trading stocks on his lunch breaks at school.
And don't tell me with his lunch money.
I
You
don't know.
have to have more than that.
The 17-year-old who started dabbling in penny stocks
Well,
at the
maybe
tender
so.
age of 9
Wow.
spends most of his breaks at Stuyvesant High School trading oil and gold futures and small to mid-cap equities. So I asked the question, ladies and gentlemen, what does your 17-year-old do on his or her lunch break?
Yeah, do they
Playing,
I don't know.
Playing Xbox.
eat glue? I mean,
Eating glue. Outside of school, he often takes his friends out to dine at Morimoto on 10th Avenue, where they feast on $400 caviar, expensive dishes, and freshly squeezed apple juice.
well, at least he's generous.
Okay, now that you brought that up,
What?
do you think this kid would have as many friends as he does if he didn't have that money?
I would hope he would.
I would hope he would too,
But
but I
people
would
are
be willing to
pathetic.
bet that he would not. During an interview for a magazine's 10th annual Reasons to Love New York issue, Mohammed refused to disclose his exact net worth, but he admitted it was in the high 8 figures.
Wow.
The successful teenager revealed that he had used his incredible wealth to purchase a BMW, which he does not yet have a license to drive, and rent a Manhattan apartment.
See, now there, I'm surprised you can rent an apartment, I guess, under 18, but I guess so.
I don't know.
As
Maybe
a parent, even though they had tons of money, I would say, you know what? I think you should still live at home till you're 18.
As a matter of fact, they have.
Good.
His parents, who are immigrants from the Bengal region of South Asia, will not yet allow him to move out of their family home in Queens.
Well, good for his parents.
Absolutely. Mohammed has also taken to social media to show off his well-funded, lavish lifestyle, regularly posting videos of him partying, playing poker, and dancing with numerous women on Instagram.
That he probably paid to dance with them.
Now, I've seen a picture of him on
Is he cute?
Well...
Does he look like a 17-year-old with pimples and stuff?
Actually, he doesn't. He's got a big full beard, and it's amazing. But
wow.
I would bet you money, and I don't think that he has the looks that it would take to have all of these friends and all of these women if he didn't have $72 million.
Well, look at some of these.
Just saying.
No, look at some of these old men that have these young chicks. Look at Hugh Hefner. Do you think he would get anyone if he didn't have a dime?
Oh, I agree.
Or if he just lived on Social Security?
I totally agree.
Come on.
Are you kidding? Look at me, for heaven's sakes.
You know what they would say to Hugh Hefner? Yeah, well, you're not doing that. But look at Hugh Hefner. Probably like, what, you can't afford anything more than pajamas? You just like walk around in your pajamas all day in your robe? I mean, come on. I know you're on Social Security.
Don't even have a job.
Yeah.
Won't even get dressed during the day, for crying out loud.
You have some self-respect, you. Come on. You think he'd have anything? Please. Isn't that sad, though? That's what we value in this society.
Oh, absolutely. But despite its advantages, Mr. and Mrs. Islam are not overly keen on their son's interest in trading. He says, "My dad doesn't like finance that much," said Mohammed, who has written the phrase "more money, less problems" on his Instagram profile.
Really?
He said he is okay with me trading, but my mom is skeptical about the market, but they see it as, if I am good at it, then why not?
Oh.
Well, that's kind of the attitude I would have. Okay,
well,
son, hey, if you're good at it, then why not?
His dad doesn't work now, and he tends to help out with things, and Futures gives me that incentive. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
So he obviously found his niche in life.
He obviously did. At
least he doesn't need Wall Street.
Not even 18, $72 million. You know, he could quit today. If he managed his money properly, he could quit today and have a lavish lifestyle all of his life and still die rich. But I bet that kid will be broke at 25.
I don't know. He's been doing this 7 years.
Quite a while. We'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Stop by Canyon Pawn. This is the right time. Well, actually, any time of the year is the right time of the year to stop by Canyon Pawn because they have everything that you would expect in a pawn shop. It's Twin Falls' newest pawn shop. It is Twin Falls' cleanest pawn shop. They have guns and they have camping stuff and woodworking and fishing poles and tools, and they also do, of course, pawns. So, you know, if you need a little extra cash for something,
just ask the wife before you go through her jewelry box. Might not be for a good Christmas otherwise.
Well, yeah, that would be probably a wise thing.
Are you using this, honey? When was the last time you wore this?
That's right. 6 months. Oh, come on. I'm going to get some money out of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Canyon Pawn, that's the place. We stop by every once in a while and see Dave Hansen and the crew and always have a good time. It's easily located on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota. They're at the corner of 3rd Avenue South. So tell them that we sent you. There is some breaking news. There was a hostage situation at a Sydney, Australia restaurant, and it looks like now the law enforcement there has gone in and got the hostages out. What's the latest there, Jill?
That's what they say. Police storm Australia Cafe where gunman was holding hostages. That's the breaking news. That's all I see. And so anyway, they had, I think, about 15 hostages. 6 escaped, but I think it's over with now. So.
Yeah, it looks like it. I'm kind of watching it on the TV screen here, and it looks like they have gone in and got them. So good for them.
Yeah. Well,
So-
sometimes you got to do that, but what is
The,
wrong with people?
We do have a little more news for you. Now, at 8:30, we'll be talking to...
Pastor Jeremy Vines from the Full Life Family Church.
All right. They got a big event coming up. We also have Randy Staples coming up at 8:40. A little bit more news, though. Some interesting stuff going on. The Andrew Peabody School in Cambridge. This is Cambridge, Massachusetts. Is that how you pronounce it?
Well.
It isn't Cambridge or something, is it? It is Cambridge, right?
No, but
Okay.
it'd be interesting. It might be Andrew Peabody instead of Peabody.
And
Peabody. They
really?
say Peabody out there. Peabody, Massachusetts. So I don't know if he's Andrew Peabody. Maybe they named Peabody after him.
Well, I know instead of Farmingham, it's
I know, it's
it's Framingham,
it's
isn't
Framingham.
it? Framingham.
Yeah, it's not Farmingham.
Yeah.
It's Framingham.
They're more like the British.
Well, you have
in
Gloucester,
Massachusetts.
but if you actually looked at that word, it'd be like Gloucester. But
Yes.
it's Gloucester, and
Yeah.
but this probably the Andrew Peabody School in Cambridge.
Okay, the Andrew Peabody School
Peabody.
in Cambridge.
Well, we pronounce.
Anyway.
There's weird things out here too. Kuna, whatever. They have different things out here too.
Well, we do
Cassia.
have Castleford.
Yeah.
Now,
Castleford.
in the overall scheme of things, it should be pronounced Castleford.
Castleford.
And I still hear people. I heard somebody on TV last week pronounce it Castleford. It is pronounced around here. It is one of those local dialects. It is Castleford.
Well, same with Massachusetts.
Castleford.
Peabody.
I agree. That's why I'm saying Peabody. They can call it whatever they want.
That's how they call it.
Anyway, this school snubbed Santa
Oh, poor Santa.
the day before the winter concert. And I would bet you anything that winter concert used to be called the Christmas concert. But at any rate, Principal Jennifer Ford sent a letter home to parents on Thursday, letting them know of the change. The letter said, in part, I am writing to you today to inform you of a change in our concert series this winter. Our 1st through 4th grade concert, as well as our kindergarten concert, will not include a visit from Santa Claus this year.
Okay.
Robert Thompson has 2 kids in the school, and he said this concert traditionally closed with Santa running through the aisle. He said the
Santa
decision.
can run.
He said the decision to remove Santa was based on a complaint.
Ah.
Parents had mixed emotions about Santa's absence. Mohammed Hassan said he does not look at Santa Claus as a religious symbol.
Yeah.
Kids like that. It's fun for kids, which is good, said Hassan. Rachel Begley said her son will miss Santa,
Aw.
but she doesn't think the school needs to provide one. Okay.
Well, really, I mean,
I
it's
think
not a
that it's
religious figure.
I know. I think that it's a shame we can't all celebrate each other's cultures, and Santa is a big part of Christmas time, said Begley.
But only up to a certain age, because then at some point, we all know about Santa.
We do, yeah, but we're not going to say it here.
No, we aren't.
Because there might be some younger ears out there listening.
Well, you can just say we know about Santa.
We know the truth about Santa Claus. Anyway, another person understood the change as more inclusive. And some parents may not want Santa Claus at a school event. We have other ways of exposing our kids to Santa Claus, he said.
Well,
So anyway,
so what? I mean, it's not
political
a religious figure.
correctness continue, but based on one complaint.
Well, maybe they were thinking, do we really need Santa anyway? Maybe Santa charged more this year, too. And they thought, you know what? Because I'm telling
Maybe
you,
it was a monetary thing.
Santas do charge. I hate to tell you that. They do. They were like, we're cutting the budget. We're being a little more streamlined.
Only the fake Santas charge.
Maybe
the real
they
Santas
say,
don't.
Maybe that's more important for Santa to visit their own
Gosh.
homes. You know?
I don't know.
So what, Cambridge? You know what? It's Cambridge,
Well,
Massachusetts.
I
Come
know,
on.
exactly. It's
Come
Massachusetts.
on. Who cares?
It's east of the Idaho border. So what do you expect?
Well,
All right. Well, we're going to find out about some Christmas stuff coming up right here in the Magic Valley next. And we're back, 7360300, always the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And we actually have Pastor Jeremy Vines with us from the Full Life Family Church. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Sure.
We're coming up on the Christmas season. A lot of churches are having special events. You're having one coming up.
Yes, that's correct. We're having a family Christmas Eve service, a candlelight Christmas Eve service. It's going to be just an incredible time for the whole family.
So how does that work? Everybody, you turn off all the lights and everybody has candles?
That is correct. We light the candles, and the whole room will be lit by candlelight, and we're going to give a gift to every child. So every child in the community that comes under the age of 12 will get a free gift, and it's just going to be a lot of fun.
And
So is it open to everyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you don't have to be a member?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay,
not
great.
At all.
Well,
Anybody in the community is welcome to come.
Good.
Absolutely.
How are you going to know if you have enough toys?
We're just going to have a lot.
You are. So if you have extra, you then donate them?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. We've
Maybe.
had people have donated toys. We've bought toys, and just anything we can do. We want to make sure that we have plenty of them.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So what time will this take place?
6 p.m.
Okay. It'll
Okay.
last about
an hour.
Okay.
And you're located where?
We're right next to Burger Stop on Addison Avenue.
Okay. And did it used to be another church?
Used to be First Assembly. We've
Okay.
been Full Life Family Church for just almost 2 years now.
Okay.
Okay. I think a lot of people
We'll
people
still
around
call
here
it
remember
First
things
Assembly.
as what they used to be.
It
So
doesn't
people
matter how
will
long.
remember it
it's-
as First
yeah.
Assembly of God.
Yeah,
Church.
exactly. Sorry about
Well, we're
that.
still the Assembly of God. In fact, we're still First Assembly of God. We've just changed the name.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. All right. Very cool. Well, it's like Canyon Pond. We still remember them as Vickers Western Stores.
Yeah. Body IQ was totally bypassed.
Yeah.
Forget it. So
Actually,
all children are going to receive a free. So Santa Claus will be at your event.
Say that again?
Santa's going to be at your event?
Yes,
Is that
Santa's
true?
going to be there. Santa's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
Santa loves
cool.
Jesus with all his heart. He wants to come help us celebrate the true reason for the season. And he's going to give out gifts to all the kids.
well, he'll probably have a little more time to spend with you now because there's that school back in Cambridge that kicked him out. So,
Yes.
he's-
Well,
he's
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 probably-
looking for gigs now.
He's looking
He's
for
like, I'll
gigs.
go from Massachusetts to Idaho. Not a problem.
Yeah, well,
Oh, my-
especially in the sleigh, I mean, he can be here in just a blink of an eye.
Sure.
So,
Well, this should be a lot of fun. And how long have you been the pastor there?
Just about 2 years.
And what have you done differently? I mean, when you bring in different pastors, do you have different, I don't know, views, or what's different about from one pastor to the next?
Well, I couldn't tell you what was different about the previous pastors. I can only tell you about our approach. And our approach is
Okay.
that we love people. Our heart is to reach the lost of the community. We're not trying to take anybody from any other church. We specifically try to reach out in ways that are not targeted towards people that are already believers, because our belief is that when you do that, you end up taking people from other churches and you end up competing with other churches. And there's so many great churches in this town. The last thing we want to do is to take people out of them, but there's a lot of people. In fact, statistics show it's between 50 and 60% of the population that don't attend any church. They're not Mormons, they're not Catholics, they're not Christians. That's the people that we're trying to reach. We want to reach the people that don't go to church.
yeah.
And that's why we're doing things like giving kids to toys and reaching to the community that's not already going to church.
Because the numbers are actually going up for people not going to church, I've seen.
Mhm.
What do you think that's attributed to?
I don't know. I just believe God's doing an incredible work on the planet now as time dwindles down. We don't have a lot of time left
Yeah.
before Jesus returns, so we've got to be as busy as we can to reach as many as we can.
Yeah. That's what I keep telling him, but so many don't listen.
Where are we going with this? I don't know.
Well, with Jill being Jewish, that
I'm
kind of
Jewish.
poses
That's right. So
that poses a communication block, I guess.
Sometimes you guys talk about stuff I have no idea what you're talking about, but you got the Old Testament, you got the New Testament, you got whatever. But we got Santa Claus at Full Life Family Church, right? Christmas Eve, 6 o'clock.
So is the whole thing going to be candlelight?
No. Candlelight will just be a portion of the service.
Oh, okay. You got enough candles to go around?
Oh, yeah, we got plenty of candles.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
Hundreds and hundreds of candles.
And actually, you probably hope you do run short.
Yeah, that would be a great problem.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hopefully somebody remembers to bring a lighter so we're not just waving unlit candles around.
Yeah, don't forget. Like, who was supposed to bring that, huh? You got a committee for that one?
It's a candle
Backup
service.
matches, lighters, a torch. I would be prepared if I were you.
Have
You
to
never
run
These
to-
know.
days, not everybody has one like
That's
20
true.
years ago.
That's
I know.
true. That is so
Yeah.
true. Every once in a while, I'll need something around here for some shrink tubing or something, and we got a couple of smokers. I just go to them and I say, hey, can I borrow your lighter? And it's not a problem. But, you could go to the convenience store across the street, I guess, and grab a lighter if you had to. So it wouldn't be the end of the world. But
we have solved so many problems for you, haven't we,
have.
Pastor?
I'm so glad
It's a good thing you came in today. I'll tell you what, Pastor Jeremy Vines with the Full Life Family Church, that's coming up Christmas Eve.
6 p.m.
That's right next to Burger Stop.
Yep, next to Burger Stop.
Candlelight service should be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right,
Pastor,
thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yes, have a nice holiday.
We have Randy Staple is up next with the Idaho Political Update here on Top Story. 7360300, always the number to call. And we have Randy Staples coming up with his Idaho Political Update. But before we get into that, we want to tell you about the infrared baron at Far More of Idaho. Now, this is something you don't have to worry about right now, because what they do is they do overflights of your pivot irrigation systems and your irrigation systems in general with infrared photography to see how the moisture content is and a lot of other things. There's a lot of things you can see through infrared photography you can't see with the naked eye. So when you get the view from above with infrared, you might decide that you need to make a few adjustments in your irrigation system. Or you might see, that looks like a little bit of marijuana growing there.
You might have to pick some weeds out there. What's going on?
So at any rate, they can do that, and the cost is not that great. In fact, it doesn't cost. It pays, because when you see what's happening in your field, you can make adjustments and you can increase your yield and more than pay for the cost of these overflights. But they can tell you all about it at Far More of Idaho. I would suggest giving them a call at 324-3341. They're also online at farmoreofidaho.com, and they can help you out with it come spring. Randy Staples is with us this morning with the Idaho Political Update. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you back for your weekly update, and it looks like Superintendent of Public Instruction Sherry Ibarra is getting ready to move in. I know she's been the topic of our show here every Monday.
She's on a silent tour.
Yeah, since before she was elected, but she is starting to talk a bit. She did a lengthy interview the other day, I think, with the Idaho Education newspaper. But does it look to you like she's kind of coming around now, starting to do things of what one might expect she should be doing?
Well, the second half of this last week, she certainly started to be moving in that direction. It was a good deal different than what we had been seeing. She was becoming a little bit more visible, saying a few more things, and I thought it was very encouraging that she was bringing in some people who have, or some outside people who have some real expertise in the area. The one that jumped out at me when I saw the list of people that she was kind of meeting with and talking with and getting kind of regular advice from was Jerry Evans.
Yes.
You probably remember Jerry from years ago.
I do, yes.
It was 20 years ago that he left office, but he was for 16 years. He was superintendent, and he was then kind of like what Ben Yasursa is to elections now, sort of the honest broker, the guy that probably knew more than anybody else about that subject, and he was remarkably well informed about the details of education administration, which is an amazingly complex field.
Well, do you think it's changed since it's been so long since he was in office? I mean, do you think he's the right person? Things have changed in the years, hasn't it?
Things have a number of the details have changed, but for one thing, I'm sure that he has kept up, and for another, the basic structure of it and the basics of how you should run the office and what you need to do as superintendent are still there. And I think that he's an excellent person for her to bring in to help provide some guidance. So, in answer to the question, I think that there's some real encouraging signs there.
Yeah, I think I think it is a stroke of brilliance that she's bringing him in, because I thought during that time that he was Republican, but turns out he was a Democrat. So.
Oh, Jerry Evans?
Yeah, Jerry Evans.
No, he was a Republican.
Okay, so I was right. That's what. Okay, I was right then.
Yeah, he ran all 4 terms as a Republican. He did this, and this is interesting, and it shows some largeness on Ibarra's part. He did, however, support Ibarra's opponent in the last race.
I did notice that, yeah.
And the fact that she reached out to him in spite of that, that to me was another encouraging sign.
Well, and this is kind of also a sign that Mr. Evans is willing to be a part of the solution.
Yes.
Yes.
That doesn't surprise me as much.
Yeah,
That's kind of the way that he's always been.
We do have a few newcomers. Well, we have Lawrence Denny as Secretary of State. We have Sherry Ibarra as the Superintendent of Public Instruction. I know in your update you had some little nuggets of wisdom for those incoming office holders. What are some of those?
Well, there were a few things that I think that they can do that will help them out as they move in. Try not to make too many changes and shifts too quickly in the office. Try to keep most of the existing people in place for the beginning. The time will come when you'll realize that there are certain people who are there that really aren't doing their job. But until you can nail that down and become a little bit more familiar with it, it's best to kind of let the office continue to function. Spend as much time as you can there, get to know it as well as you can. Do what Ibarra has apparently now started to do, which is to bring in some old hands for some good outside advice, and reach out to both the public and to the groups that are involved with the office. That's one of the problem areas that Ibarra has had, but last week seemed to be an indicator that she's starting to in fact reach out to them and starting to do some of those things.
Okay. Well, she was going to present, I guess, some of her budget ideas January 28th. Is that right, in front of the legislature?
Yeah, that will be her job to do that. That's superintendents have always done that, and she will need to present a budget at that time. So it's a lot of work that she has to get done between here and there.
Is there any indication that Lawrence Denny is kind of doing that same thing? Reaching
I haven't
out?
heard the reports out of Denny's office that much to this point. He, in terms of learning curve, his is probably a little less steep just because he's been around the State House a long time and has a little bit more familiarity with it. But he should still be doing a lot of these same things. And I haven't heard specifically whether he's been doing some of them or not.
Okay.
Other than that, he has more specifically than Ibarra has. He has said that he will leave a lot of the nearly all of the staff in place, and doesn't plan to make any major changes early on. So there may be some positive indicator there.
Well, the House has passed the Cromnibus bill, I guess they're calling it.
It's like a cronut.
Yeah.
It's such a weird name.
Essentially, it's enough money, I guess, to operate the country on until next September. And I thought it was interesting as I read in your update, Raul Labrador's response, who is our 1st District Congressman, and Mike Simpson, our 2nd District Congressman's responses. They were both pretty much 180 degrees out of phase. I thought that was interesting.
I was reading the responses around the Northwest, Republicans and Democrats, and you'd have kind of a hard time in a lot of cases telling which party they're from by looking at that, because the Democrats were kind of split on it too. Mm-hmm. It's not something that really just about anybody is really totally happy with, and it's kind of understandable how you can draw different conclusions depending on what you focus on. I think Mike Simpson's focus was more along the lines of keeping things running, avoiding a shutdown, and trying to get out of it, as much as you can. And Raul Labrador's perspective on it was different. That it didn't make some of the changes that he thought ought to be made. But,
do you think he wanted a shutdown?
He's less worried about a shutdown. And if a shutdown happened, well, he didn't try to stop that last time.
Mm.
The Senators Crapo and Risch both have joined some other senators and over the concern about the impact of the Environmental Protection Agency. But since this new bill passed, I see that there are some of the things now that won't be taking shape, and one of those that we were very concerned about here in southern Idaho and many other parts of the West was the EPA administrators or the EPA administration taking over control of little streams and actually irrigation ditches for quality control and such. And now that won't be happening. So I guess, well, from the viewpoint of southern Idaho, that's a good thing that this bill passed.
I don't think that there was really enormous opposition to scaling that back, and I'm not sure that increasing it that much was a terribly high priority. That may have been something that was a fairly easy thing for the advocates that were there to give up. That it doesn't surprise me that got dropped out, and so probably won't be coming back anytime real soon.
Well, they did take the sage grouse off. Well, they said they're going to hold the decision to put the sage grouse on the endangered species list for a year. That was in there, and
that was also in there, and a few other things related to that. But that kind of, in a way, it kind of kicks it down the road for another year.
Right.
And if the sage grouse don't start showing some indications of recovery, then a year from now the fight will simply return.
Right, right. This could seem like an odd question, but every once in a while you read or hear that some senators, some representatives have sent a letter to the EPA or to some other government agency saying that, no, don't do this, or this needs to be done. How much weight do they really carry when it comes to an agency, say, like the Environmental Protection Agency, which seems to be an agency that just kind of does its own thing regardless? Do they really have pull that much weight?
They do, because the agencies do realize that Congress has the power of the purse, and when Congress passes budgets, they often attach riders and special conditions. You may spend money for this, and you may not spend money for that. And there's a good deal of back and forth that can come that way. They do need to pay attention to members of Congress, and they very often do. Of course, it depends to a degree on how well positioned you are in Congress. If you are, say, a committee chairman, they're probably going to snap to a little faster than if you're someone who's well down the process who doesn't carry as much clout. It does vary. But members of Congress do get some attention from them. They do respond, and at least ordinarily. When they don't, members of Congress can often go public. They start to alert other members that somebody from our branch of the government is kind of being dissed by an agency, and the fur can fly, and it can be kind of it can put some agency people in kind of a difficult spot that they don't really like to be in.
How much weight do you think the people have if you start writing the EPA as opposed to just Congress? I mean, do they really value people's input?
Sometimes they do.
Or you're not a lobbyist.
It does vary. There are places where they ask for it. They're legally required to ask for it, and there are ways in which they're legally required, in fact, to factor it in. What I would always say, though, is that the more people that you can get on your side, the more people that you can have, just in terms of sheer numbers, working with you, the more effective you're likely to be.
Yeah, that's probably true too. So now Congress is not adjourned yet, right?
That's right, not quite yet. They're coming pretty close, though.
It's kind of interesting, though, with Ted Cruz and his grandstanding the last, day or so. It was amazing that Harry Reid was then be able to get, I think he got through about 20 nominees and stuff that they never thought they'd even get through because he kept Congress open. I mean, it sounds like Ted Cruz is creating a lot of problems for his party, the other party. Actually, he's kind of helping the Democrats. What do you think about this?
Well, I think that he may be helping the Democrats in some ways.
Maybe he's a covert operative.
there are a lot of Republicans who have been for all this year and going further back, very upset with Cruz because he's upset a lot of what many of the other Republicans are trying to do. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of gotten in the way and to an extent grandstanded. Of course, he has his fans too. He has, for that matter, fans in Idaho. and
absolutely.
He's well aware of that. He's well aware that of the visibility that he can get, and I wouldn't imagine him to change his tactics anytime real soon.
Randy, we're out of time, so we'll see you next Monday.
We'll talk to you then.
Randy.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Randy Staples from Reidenbaugh Press at reidenbaugh.com. Go to his website, reidenbaugh.com, and you can subscribe to his weekly update. And you can also hear him right here each week on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. We're going to talk about the process of choosing a new city hall for Twin Falls this next hour right here on Top Story. And welcome back to Top Story, 7360300, always the number to call. Welcome back, Jill.
Thanks, Cal. Same to you.
It's 21.
What?
It must be getting colder because I just looked up, it was 22, and now it's dropped to 21 like in the last 60 seconds.
That would make it getting colder.
It would make it getting colder.
I think you're correct. It is getting colder. Why? I don't know. How cold is this? I didn't watch the weather today.
I didn't either. I don't hear the weather anymore.
I blank on weather.
And Benito, when he gives it, he just memorizes it. So, he doesn't leave the weather for me anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
So at any rate, it is getting a little chillier, and hopefully we will have a white Christmas. I just don't know right now.
Should be nice. I mean, my sister-in-law was up from Park City this weekend, and she said even in Park City it's not snowing much.
Wow.
I know.
Well, and again, I will say this again, here lately, it seems like we've gotten our winter in February and March and into April.
Well, that doesn't help for Christmas, does it, for you?
It doesn't.
No.
Well, we could move Christmas.
Yeah, sure.
Why
don't you start that?
Make it from, I don't know, December 25th to sometime in March,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
February 25th.
We could make it on St. Patrick's Day.
There you go. Have a beer and a
Seems like about half the time it's snowing for the St. Patrick's Day parade. So, maybe that would work.
It is pretty darn cold during that
know.
thing, that's for sure.
I know. Well, at any rate, I see there's some chatter on Facebook regarding how the Citizens Committee for Facilities handled the choice of the Banner Building in downtown Twin Falls as the new city hall. The last week, the committee apparently voted, 17-5, right?
Mm-hmm.
To accept the Banner Building as the new city hall.
That is correct. And full disclosure, I'm a co-chair on that committee. So... What's your next question?
Yes. Well, I don't know. They're questioning the process that it took, and I have to say, as kind of an outsider looking in, just the way I saw it, and I don't live in the city, but still,
I don't either.
Twin Falls is my town.
Yeah.
It seemed like that the committee was just getting going, and then bingo, all of a sudden they had a place.
Boom.
And it was, and it kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
That was. I thought they were going to have a little more of a process. And kind of looking around, but apparently, I don't know. That didn't happen?
No, it didn't happen. I mean, normally, I remember when we started this process, supposedly there's not, now, I was the one who said I want to be chairperson. No one was volunteering, so I'm like, fine, I'll chair this. Why not? And then, of course, two other people jumped in, Gary Garnan and Greg Paulson, because I'm sure they're probably thinking, why would we let her be a chairperson? Although I just found out recently, again, that they usually only have one co-chair, when in the first meeting they say, no, they usually have two or three, so who knows? There's always something changing. So, and I just thought it would be a fair process. That's how I wanted. People have accused me of having an agenda. My agenda is let's have the information, have a fair process, and have people on the committee that actually want to hear everything that's happening. What happened on the last, so we were told, we have no time frame. We were told, get all the information you want, Jill. Talk to whomever, do whatever, gather whatever. So, I've gathered the 2005 space needs assessment I found out about from Tom Courtney, who I'm friends with him at the gym, and he said, we did a space assessment 2005, so I asked for that, read that over, found interesting stuff. After our last meeting the week before, people asked if Terry Kramer could come on because the county did do upgrades to the clinic. We wanted to hear what was done there because we were told certain things were done to that building or was still in that building, which weren't in the building. And then also the numbers for the old clinic to remodel that the city's architect were giving us were for a gut job. And so we were going to have Eric Waddy and his architect present what could be done without being a gut job, actual numbers.
So in other words, that was pretty much a
That was supposed
rip
to
everything out and redo, whereas
6-year-old numbers
Yeah.
and it was based on the county west. It was based on the county using the clinic, not on for City Hall. But
Okay.
so on the agenda that was put up for this last week was even the parking study that was done. That was supposed to be on the agenda. Someone was supposed to be on the phone. Andy, I don't know his last name, Kittleson or something like that, was supposed to be on the phone. I don't even think he was on the phone at the start of the meeting, which made me think they never intended to call him. Then after that was Terry Kramer from the county commissioners, and then
he was there, right?
Oh yeah, he was. We asked him to present. He sat there for 2 hours, and then Eric Waddy and his architect Roger, I'm blanking on his name, were there too to present. So as it started out, literally Gary Garnan and Greg Paulson wanted Gary to do a summary at the start of the meeting, and on the agenda it said possible action. Well, why would you have a possible action or even a discussion? I said, I wrote back, hey, why not? And even told them personally, why are we doing this? We have presenters, have a discussion after the presenters. Why wouldn't you do that? Does that not make sense? It was going to be discussion, parking, discussion, Terry, Eric. No discussion after them. I don't know why. I mean, you put your input into the agenda and somehow, that's how we've been doing it all. Every meeting, we all agreed on the agenda and there. And when I said that these Terry and Eric were going to be on the agenda, I didn't get anything back from Greg and Gary saying, oh no, they just said, well, we want to do a summary and discussion prior to them, which never made sense to me. Now it does now, because in that discussion, after his summary of 6-year-old numbers based on the county having the old clinic, he then made a motion to vote for the banner building. And since that motion was on the floor, we couldn't get any other presenters up to talk. And at one point, I said, can't we have Eric give us the accurate numbers? People all said no. And then someone said, well, you could table the motion. So then we had to vote to table the motion, which was to vote for the banner building. And that was defeated. You're like, are you kidding me? You don't want accurate information for like twin taxpayers who are going to spend minimum $7 million. Yeah. Who knows with overruns and things that else will have to happen. Could be as much as $10 million. You don't want accurate information. I mean, really, I couldn't be more disgusted at the process. And then that was the first meeting we ever had a roll call vote. How come we didn't have roll call votes the other meetings? Because now they can say, oh, the committee voted 17-5. And now it's all becoming clear to me. We were totally set up. It's like, how do you have enough meeting? If, several people said we don't have enough meeting. We don't, the city hadn't even done a space needs assessment. So, I just wanted a fair process. I wanted all the information to be out there. And so tonight they're meeting and city council will look at what this committee recommended.
Well, just, to play the other side here for a second, when it's 17-5, some might think that you're kind of spewing sour grapes because you didn't get your way. What do you think?
Well, my way was to get the accurate information. I mean, we have to have agendas posted 2 days prior to the public meeting so the public can see what's happening. How do you post an agenda where 3 people don't present information that's on the agenda? I just don't know how you make a decision without accurate current information.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. When you keep interviewing these guys on the radio, they keep saying, oh, no, the banner building, we're just looking at that. And then,
no, they said we have a committee. We have a committee. We're going to let the committee decide until actually the committee actually asks for more information. I don't think they planned on me looking for more information and accurate information, but how do you make a decision with 6-year-old figures based on another use of the building?
Well, that banner building is not as big as where they're at, is it?
Well, they say it's this is what they're doing. The renovation for the banner building is $4.5 million for only 30,000 square feet.
Gee,
30,000 square feet, and they plan to put the city council chamber area, where we do the meetings, in the banner building too. They keep saying that it's enough room, but they haven't done an actual space needs assessment to find out actually what it is. So, I don't know. I mean, I felt the city should have done that as well all along.
So did it kind of come down to at least maybe appearances of between the Banner Building and the old Twin Falls Clinic?
What do you mean? Those were the two
Twin Falls
choices it
Clinic
came
was
down
the
to.
other consideration.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how big?
Well, that has about 40. It's probably about, I think it was 89,000 square feet.
Okay.
But the first meeting with the city facilities committee, they mentioned that possibly the school administration would go into the city hall. I mean, they're talking about putting the school administration into the Banner Building as well. I'm like, I seriously, I can't even picture it. So, I mean, there's other agencies you could possibly put in there, or you just develop one floor, and as you grow, you could develop. But we didn't know what the numbers were on that.
What was the purchase price of the clinic building? Do you know?
It would have been $2.7 million. But then you get $2.7 million for how much of a building that you could probably grow into.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as $4.5 million for 30,000 square feet that they're developing right now with a maximum, I think, of 45,000 square feet.
But that wasn't the purchase price of the Banner Building is what, $475,000, right? Something like
$450,000 for the
Okay.
Banner Building that was been empty for 8 years and has asbestos.
Yeah.
And not one designated parking space. So parking is an issue. So it would have been nice to hear from the parking study if they had any solutions, but we weren't. I really honestly, I don't even think they were on the phone. Normally they usually say, "Are you there?" And then I thought later, oh, they weren't there because they didn't plan to talk to them.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Hello.
My name is Billy, and I just want to, this is amazing, but vouch for Jill.
Thanks,
that
Billy.
I served on a committee for 2 years in Twin Falls County, and that is exactly how they run the show. So she is absolutely correct, and that is how they do their meetings.
So Billy,
Not
you
just
thought
this
you
one,
were
but others.
Billy, you thought you were going to make a difference and have the information, and then somehow they cut it short.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
Oh boy.
Well, Billy, I'm glad we
Anyway.
can finally agree. It's almost Christmas. This could be a Christmas miracle.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, you guys have a great day.
Well,
All right,
thank
hey,
you.
Thanks for the call. Wow. That doesn't sound very good.
Doesn't bode well, does it?
It doesn't.
Well, when you're told all that you all the time you want, there's no timeline, there's no pressure, and then all of a sudden Gary Garanian's something like, oh well, we're supposed to have it done by the 15th. It's like, no, we never had a time frame. They always told us have as much time as you want, gather as much information as you want. Joe, I was told, talk to whomever you want. It's your committee, you guys.
I wonder why there would have been a December 15th deadline anyway.
I have no idea. I never heard of that actually at all until that meeting Thursday.
Well, I think we have Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning coming in Wednesday for State of the City, so
Well, the
maybe
meetings
we'll be able to hear a little more on
the
that
meeting's
side of it.
tonight at 5:30.
Right.
You have to be there at 5:30 for the committee to present. I mean, so who knows? The council could just say, "Yep, you did your jobs. You had all the information you could, and we'll vote for the Banner Building." And I'm like, "Wow, don't the taxpayers deserve more? Shouldn't you have a say? How many people want the Banner Building? How many people want the clinic? How many people just want accurate information?"
Yeah. Well, we'll be right back. 736-0300, the number to call. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. Friday's $100 instant winning name in the word of the day, brought to you by the Happy Landing Restaurant, which is where I
eat lunch every
ate
Thursday.
lunch yesterday. In fact, I had lunch there yesterday.
You went on Sunday?
I did, yes.
Out of Sejo? Oh, my
Yes,
goodness.
I know. I ate there Thursday, too.
Ooh.
Yeah, so if you head on out there and you're a first-time visitor and you tell them you heard about it with Kelly and Jill and you buy a drink or a meal, they'll give you a free piece of homemade pie.
Lovely.
It's cool, I'll tell
I
you
still
what.
am not convinced that you didn't come up with that marketing plan.
Well, I didn't.
I
needless to
really
say.
think, because who doesn't love pie?
And they're at the Twin Falls Airport, by
Yeah,
the way,
yeah,
the Happy
yeah.
Landing Restaurant. So it was really cool. When we were there yesterday, we got to see two F-15 jets
Ooh.
fire up and take off. Yeah, it
Cool.
was really- yeah, it
What were
was
they
cool.
doing here?
I don't know. I don't know.
You didn't ask?
No, I didn't ask.
You never asked that follow-up question, do you, Kel?
No, I didn't ask that follow-up question. Anyway, Friday's $100 instant winning name is Jackson Adams.
Jackson Adams, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is silent.
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 You have until midnight tonight to enter the word silent at newsradio1310.com. and you could be a $100 instant winner.
Yep.
We got a caller, 7360300. Good morning. You're on Top Story.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Art.
Who?
This is Art Hogue.
Hey, Art.
Hi, Art. How you doing?
And I've got a cold, so my voice is not really great, but I just wanted to make a couple comments. You know, Jill was right and Gary was right in the deadline for, the committee. Initially, the city council wanted this report back by early December, and one of the reasons for that was the city had put some earnest money down on this property, and there was a deadline on when they had to make a decision by it.
But Art, we were never told that in our meetings.
Yeah, but if you listen to the city council meeting when they created the committee, that's where that came in. But also, Jill, you was correct. When the committee first formed, the city pretty much did indicate, well, take whatever time you need to get whatever information you need. So, so you was correct in that point. So, on one hand, they said, initially, we want this report back by early December. On the other hand, they did give when they talked to the committee when we first met, I'll take whatever time you need. So there was some conflicting, information there. Also, I guess what I see interesting about this process, I don't think the process is over. Whatever the committee decided, the city council is going to make a decision to do what they're going to do. But maybe we generated enough interest for the community to become involved in this at the city council meeting tonight to have their input.
I hope so.
So I think, the thing is, if we can get more people engaged and involved, we get a truer picture of what the citizens desire and want, and maybe that can have an impact on what the city council decides to do. So, to get the people out and get them engaged and involved. When we first started the committee, we had 30-some people showed up. By the time we got to that final meeting, we were down to, 17 or about 20 people that were engaged
22,
and involved.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So, it's interesting the way it's gone. It doesn't surprise me the way it's gone, but I think if the impact can be felt now at this point with more of the community being engaged and involved into the process and showing up at the city council meeting and having an input there.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Exactly.
Hopefully, as the citizens become more involved, they can have more of an impact on the decision-making process. And I think it's a broader base that can potentially be involved at this point. So, we'll see you tonight.
Yes,
all right.
You'll see me tonight.
Okay.
Thanks, Art.
Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate the input. 7360300, the number to call.
But that thing about the date, we weren't at the city council. They could say what they want, but when we started that meeting and even subsequent meetings, Travis told us you have as much time as you want. Never mentioned a date, never said anything. So whatever they did in city council, that wasn't translated to people who maybe didn't go to the city council meeting, but were at the committee. And we were told on several occasions, there's no time limit. Take as much time as you want. We heard that several times. So there was no. So I don't know, but
well,
I hope people.
The proof in the
come.
pudding, if people are interested, will be tonight if they show up to the meeting.
And it's at 5:30, and normally I thought they weren't going to do anything for the public until at least 6. But I don't know. I don't know what's happening. It just seems like things change constantly, and so it's at 5:30 tonight, and I hope people are interested. To be honest, even on, like I said, last week after the meeting, we were being interviewed for KMVT, and this old man came up and he goes, Banner Building, goes, what about the old clinic? You're like, hey, I've never heard from one citizen, even at the post office the next day, Banner Building, what about the old clinic? I've never heard one citizen outside of this committee and these people and the city council that want the Banner Building for City Hall. There's not one parking spot there.
It does seem that there are a lot of challenges with that particular location.
A lot of challenges.
Again, I haven't been involved in the process, so
drive by it.
Oh, I know where it's at. I drove by it the other day.
Yeah,
and it does seem like it's kind of I don't know. It just seems like a lot of downs.
My point
There's
is
probably some ups to it too.
Just have all the information. All the information.
Well, we'll be right back. Phone's still ringing. 7360300 is the number to call. 7360300, the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment have your next Christmas present.
They do.
That's right. A Husqvarna or Echo chainsaw.
Oh.
I mean, what guy, what man?
Why do you keep saying it's a guy? There's plenty of women who would love to use a chainsaw, especially over the holidays. Don't leave us out, Kelly.
Okay, all right. So men and women who want
That's
a
right. Come
chainsaw,
on.
tell your significant other that they've got just what you want
Yeah.
at Clearwater Power Equipment. Because with a chainsaw, I mean, you don't have to just cut logs with a chainsaw.
Oh,
no. You can trim trees with it. You can cut regular wood. You know, you can do a lot of things with chainsaws. You can intimidate the neighbors. You know, I mean, it's just, the list is endless.
Oh, my.
And the best place to get one of these is with the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment. They got the sales, they got the service, they got the knowledge. You got any questions about it, they can show you how to operate it. You know, they're the place. They're easy to get to at 252 Washington Street or 734-7767. That's the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment for your Husqvarna and Echo Power Equipment. All right, so we got another phone call here. Let's take it. Top story. You are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Kelly and Jill. Hey, Jill, it's Susan Petrozelli. How are you?
Hi, Susan. Good. How are you?
Good. I actually tuned in this morning. Actually, Paul called and said, hey, they're talking about the committee.
Susan was on the committee.
Oh, all right.
And I just want to call in and say I agree with Art that, I do think more citizens should be involved and take part of this process. I'm on that impact fee committee for the city, which I really enjoy that committee. This city facility committee, it really did not, it wasn't a fair process, I don't think. I mean, I think you'll agree with me on that.
Yeah.
Nobody weighed the options. It was weird. It was just a totally weird experience, and I don't really understand how it went down.
Susan, were you surprised that the presenters that we had on the agenda, which we have to publish 2 days before a committee so the public knows, were not given the opportunity to speak?
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird how all those First Fed guys showed up. Were those guys at any but one other meeting?
I think the first meeting.
And then they come and do this final vote and sweep everything aside how they want it to go down. Not they specifically, but it seemed very orchestrated to make that motion and not have the process happen like it should have, in my opinion.
So it seems like you're saying that if this was a foregone conclusion how it would turn out, and the Citizens Committee was just kind of a sideshow maybe to show that they were going through the...
What was the word I used, Jill? A farce?
A farce?
I was listening to Art's comment this morning, and he said, yeah, people should get involved. And I totally agree with that. This was a complete waste of my time, and I didn't enjoy, committing that time because they already had their mind made up, it seemed like, and it was a waste of my time. It was weird.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt used a little bit. We can say a committee did this, but you know what? You wasted our time, and they overrode the process, and I don't know.
Well, and it's a cheaper option. The taxpayers aren't going to complain, but the parking's weird down there. I don't know how that's going to all work out, but I feel good. People could go back and look at the video of the meetings and see that there was some challenges to the process, and they were ignored.
Are you going to come tonight?
That's the other reason I was calling. I can't make it tonight. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you'll have to keep me posted.
Well, you know what? You devoted a lot of your time, and I appreciate that, but I felt like it was a waste of time. I'm sorry about that, Susan.
It's all right. I mean, we did the best we can. And, I want to say this, too. I think it's great when there's different opinions on a committee. It's really good because then you can process, pros and cons or the good and bad of each situation.
Or come up with better ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So it's good to have, I don't want people to think that we're just, sore losers because, we didn't get our opinion heard. I don't feel that way. I feel like it just wasn't a fair process to analyze those two locations.
Because you actually, and you were in the start of this whole process, I think we both were like, they need a needs assessment. Like, what does the city need? And that wasn't done yet. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, it was weird. And I think it's, big government wants their way, and they've got it kind of planned out. And they just have to make the community feel like, oh, yeah, these citizens, they voted on this. And I don't know. I just can't come away from that feeling like it was a fair process. I don't know. It seems like there's other agendas going on, but I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, I want to let you know I couldn't make it tonight. I'm so sorry.
Well, thanks, Susan. I appreciate you and your time for sure.
Thanks for the input. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Take care.
All right. We got other calls coming in, but we're just about to go into a break, so I don't suppose it would behoove me to take the call right now.
Just hang on.
Yeah, don't go away. 736-0300 is the number to call here on Top Story. 736-0300, the number to call here on Top Story. Well, it's time to talk about the Low and Honey loader for just a second.
That's right.
Yes, it loads all types of manure. Liquid, frozen, dry, you name it. And today there might be some frozen manure. Oh, looks like it's coming up now.
What is
We're
it?
up to 25.
Oh, wow. It went down then up.
It was down at 21 at 9 o'clock, and now it's up to 25. So we might be turning that into liquid manure later today. But that's not a problem because the Low and Honey loader from Stanley & Company can handle it all.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a big feedlot or dairy operation and have a need for one of these, you want to see one in operation, call Pat Hartzell. And he can fix it up so you can see one. You want to buy one, Pat can fix that up too.
That's right.
And he's very accessible. He has his personal cell phone that he carries with him, and he gives you the number, 280-1167. That's 280-1167. Pat Hartzell with Stanley & Company. He can help you out.
That's right.
736-0300 is the number to call. Let's see, first one hung up. Top Story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Kelly, Jill. Hey, Jill, welcome to city government.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's I was pretty naive. I actually thought it could be a fair process.
Yeah, I used to live in Twin, and so I know kind of what you're going through. Seems like to me the city council has gone ahead and already had a agenda set up when they had put down payment on the banner building. I mean, before it was any discussed. I mean, I live in Jerome County. We had the same thing with the Jerome County jail bond. You need to, Twin Falls City Council really needs to step back and take a look. There's no parking at Banner Furniture.
Yeah.
It's a disaster.
Yeah. Well,
the Banner Furniture building needs a D8 cat. and then it would be okay.
It needs a what?
D8
a D8 cat. It needs to be
Caterpillar.
totally
It's a
torn down.
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, okay. It needs to be torn down and leveled and new construction started if they're going to put a building there at all.
And they paid $450,000 for that building.
Well, they haven't paid for it yet.
No, but it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In Twin Falls, you follow the money, and in some ways they'll step over a dollar to pick up a nickel. And
well, it's interesting because I've had 2 or 3 people say to me, well, who's benefiting? Why? Who's the beneficiaries of this? And I don't know. But everyone keeps saying that.
Yeah, that's true. But city government has a problem in the state of Idaho and probably in all states. So good luck. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call. Now, speaking of leveling it and starting over again, we had a caller earlier that I took during a break. And they said, well, what about the former Latham property, which has a big parking area there? They could knock down all those buildings and build new right there on 2nd Avenue. That doesn't seem like a bad option.
Well, that was one of the options.
That
was one of the options. But,
that?
then they were like, we didn't actually have all the accurate information on that because they have gas tanks underneath, but you didn't know really how much it would cost to remove it and EPA. And so, you pretty much... you gloss over that one.
736-0300, Top Story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. I think the city's being scammed by the city council. I think what they're doing is trying to bail out some millionaire friend that owns that building, and they don't care what it does to the city.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing and how I feel is it's not the employees of the city that this benefits. This is the taxpayers deal with this building. City employees come and go. Taxpayers have to deal with this for years to come. And also now it's not going to be a bond. Somehow they're going to spend all of this out of the cash reserves. So,
So they don't have to get the public approval to spend the money.
Yeah, they have $13 million in cash reserves. This is going to be minimum $7 million, but you know how that's going to be because the building isn't going to be big enough. So they're going to develop 30,000 square feet, but then they'll have to extend the mezzanine for another 250,000. Then they'll have to redo the basement. Then they'll have to buy a parking. Maybe the building's behind, or then build a parking structure. It's not just this amount, but it's interesting how now it doesn't seem to matter about the cash reserves, when in the beginning of this process they're like, well, we would be concerned about not spending too many of our cash reserves. So you know what? It seems like that's what they wanted, and but I think it's sad because the taxpayers are the ones who have to pay their water bills, have to pull up, have to use it. City employees come and go.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air.
You know, it sounds like a clear violation of the open meeting laws to me. There was deliberation that was occurring outside of meetings. You know, this kind of stuff is just rampant in locally. They'd better use the good old boy network rather than open meetings. And, you know, the only way to find out for sure is you start subpoenaing people's emails and phone records, but I'm sure that's what happened.
Yeah,
well,
I don't know. It's hard to say.
And, you know, and then they, at the second meeting, not even the first meeting, then they gave us this thing of, open meeting laws and because people were talking, whatever. I mean, to me, you do a citizens committee, the first meeting, why don't you go over all that? Why don't you go over the rules? Why don't you go over where you're supposed to vote on an agenda at the end of the last meeting, which we found out at the fifth meeting. You know, we emailed about the agenda because they would say, what's your agenda? They never told us you had to vote at the last meeting for the agenda. All of a sudden, before the last meeting, we were told of these rules. I'm like, you know, why don't you go over these the first meeting? You know, so we know what we're doing. I've never done a committee before. I just wanted to be a fair process. That's all I wanted. And I think the taxpayers of Twin deserve better.
Well, I'll tell you, and come
tonight at 5:30. Please come tonight at 5:30, please.
Yes.
If you don't, then they say everyone agrees with this.
And 9 o'clock Wednesday, we'll have State of the City, and I believe it's City Councilman Greg Lanning. So we might be able to get another side of the story, too. So right now, it's time for the Huckabee Report. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed. Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger are the financial advisors, and their number is 736-6563.
Mm-hmm.
I get to go, I'm looking at it that way, to the dentist this afternoon.
Aren't you lucky?
Yeah. Actually, it was already, it was prearranged. I have an appointment for the dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as an additional note, last night I was eating dinner,
mm-hmm.
and it was the first bite, and I put it in my mouth, and I crunched down on something.
Buckshot?
At first I thought I had broken a tooth and then crunched it in, but as I got to looking and poking around, I don't think so.
Wow.
I bit down on something, and it shoved up into my gum, and it was like, ouch, what in the world did I do? And right now, it doesn't feel like there's anything crunched up in there, but it's like it's bruised.
It's sore.
Yeah, and so
Did you continue eating?
Well, of course. Okay. What are you talking? What are you, nuts?
It was just a flesh wound.
Yeah, right.
No worries.
It hurt, but it didn't hurt that bad.
Are you crazy? I know. I posted something on my Facebook about, you know, with the holiday stress and shopping, don't forget to eat.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, but I mean that part, because your blood sugar drops, you get more cranky and this and that, and people writing about, what? Forget to eat. I eat all the time. It's like regular meals, you know. But anyway.
So anyway, when I go to the dentist today, to Dr. Alexander's office, I'm going to have them look at that before they do the other thing, just to make sure.
Please report back as to what he finds.
I know.
What could
all
that
I
be?
need is another hole in my head, but it might be what's coming.
Good thing you're retaring. Things are just falling apart.
I know, huh?
Buddy.
Yeah, now I can clench down and bite on that, and it, you know, you can feel that it's bruised. You can feel it because it hurts, but it doesn't feel like there's anything jammed in it or anything's broke.
So do you think it was like a bone in the fish?
I don't know. I don't know what it was. It
wasn't coated with nuts. You didn't coat it with nuts.
I've never encountered a bone that was that hard. It was like a rock, actually.
Who made dinner?
Rock. My wife.
Connie. Was it coated with anything?
Almond butter, maybe. I don't know.
And a little arsenic to help with the pain.
Yeah, exactly. So
you
I
won't
don't
fill
know.
a thing, honey. Here's some
Yeah.
more fish.
So I'll do a report tomorrow and let you know how my
Okay.
might be too much information for you.
No,
But
why
anyway,
not? Our
don't forget-
life is an open book.
And don't forget the meeting tonight, 5:30, right?
5:30. Don't go at 6 like they normally have public stuff. Go at 5:30
All right.
tonight.
And meanwhile, tomorrow we've got Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans, and I just happen to think this is my last full week of a show.
What?
This is my last full week of a show ever before I retire.
No, we have because of Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas and New Year's.
Could
That's
you have
right.
more milestones that we could, honor?
I'm thinking of some. So
Oh, yeah?
I'll report them to you as I think of them.
Get back to me
So
on
we'll
that.
see you tomorrow right here on Top Story. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.